So, Lone Rider here. A while ago, I posted a video where I talked about the idea of censorship on the internet, and I simply suggested that since so much of our public discourse is now taking place online, maybe we should reconsider the issue of what constitutes censorship, and that some of the speech regulations, what I call soft censorship, on the part of, like Facebook, YouTube, etc., that since so much of our public debate is now taking place not in the real world but in the virtual world, that maybe we need to sort of examine that shift and examine the implications of it. And I got several responses from an individual who, you see his name here, was posting under a variety of random letters, JHHG, GV, something like that. I'm not sure what those letters mean. Apparently they mean something to this individual. And after several random insults and so forth, I basically responded to this person by saying, I'm not going to sit here and debate somebody who can't be civil and whose only response to somebody merely raising an issue is vitriol. Good day. And this was his final response. It was, well, I guarantee you I'm no interest in debate. I'm simply here to be uncivil. I'm sorry if you failed to understand this from the beginning, but maybe you should ask yourself if you're really worth my respect. I would posit no. Now, I like to laugh. This is what the person sent me. It's been copied and pasted into a blank Word document simply because I didn't want to inadvertently show any personal information from my email that might lead to identity theft or something like that. But this is word for word what this person wrote. And I'm certainly not all that bothered by this in terms of, I remember way back in the dark ages of the 1990s when we didn't really have the internet in the modern sense we do now, and most of my discourse was, let's say, letters to the editor. And I remember receiving, at least once or twice, specific death threats on the phone in response to letters of the editor I wrote during the 90s. So I'm certainly not bothered by some troll on the internet in that sense. But I do think this is a teachable moment, right? If you look at what this person says, they don't leave anything to the imagination. Well, I guarantee I have no interest in debate. I'm simply here to be uncivil. Okay. Now, I would posit that this is a teachable moment because I would argue that this is actually the face of the new left. And it's not me telling you that, it's this fellow telling you that. And I would argue that it's a mistake to try and engage in debate in every person you meet or run across or correspond with or have interaction with on the internet. There are plenty of people who are reasonable and simply have a different view. But there are also plenty of people, especially on, I guess, what we could call the new left, whose idea of discourse is to be as much of an arse as they can and go around causing discord and making a jerk of themselves, essentially. But I personally don't know anybody who would say about themselves that they have no interest in debate and are simply here to be uncivil. But again, this is the new left. This is, rather than talk about ideas, rather than talk about, people's positions on the issues, just, flip somebody the bird, break a window, throw a flaming trash can through the front of a Starbucks. This is what they do. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And like I said, this is essentially a teachable moment because you have somebody actually coming out and admitting that they have no interest in debate and they're simply here to be uncivil. And then they follow it up by saying, maybe you should ask yourself if you're really worth my respect. I would posit no. So we have three takeaways from this. This person isn't interested in debating the issues. This person's sole purpose is to be a provocateur or pick a fight or, in other words, be uncivil. And this person has no respect for anybody who has a differing view. Now, All of that would lead me to believe that this person has essentially removed themselves from civil society. There are essentially two ways and only two ways to deal with people, either by reason or by force. Debate serves the interest of reason. People can sit there and talk to each other and hash out where they think they should go. If they refuse to debate, if their whole purpose is to, as this person says, simply here to be uncivil, what does that mean? It means that this person is not interested in a rational exchange of ideas. Now, if you're not interested in a rational exchange of ideas, what are you interested in? The only alternative is force. That's the only alternative to reason for dealing with people. So this person presumably is simply interested in, not in discussing with people and in working out some mutual agreement on issues of the day so that, society can resolve them. This person is simply interested in being a destructive influence. And presumably, they're not alone. I find it unlikely that this is the only person who sees this as how they intend to conduct themselves. So, like I said, I thought this would be an interesting teachable moment. There's a lot of people out there who they might disagree with particular individuals, but at the end of the day, they're sitting there saying to themselves, you know what? They're people too, right? They're Americans too. They've got, maybe they've got a point. Maybe I just don't see it. Maybe they just see things differently. Let's talk to them. And I'm here to tell you that doesn't work necessarily. There are people who, by their own avowed statements, have no interest in talking, have no interest in debate, and they're simply there. Their purpose in life is simply to be as much of an arsehole as they can, essentially. Excuse my language. And like I said, there's three takeaways from this. That this person isn't interested in debate, that they're interested only in being uncivil, and that they have no respect for anybody with differing views. Now, all of those things, the one thing they have in common is they suggest that this person has given up reason in favor of its only alternative, which is potentially force. And when you look at where some people stand in terms of the policies they support, using government coercion to try and remake society in a way that would be more amenable to them, I guess that's not a surprise, is it, right? But, so many people are just, I think, unwilling to see this. They're just like, well, nobody could really mean that, right? Nobody could really be like that. Oh, there's plenty of people out there like that, trust me. And this is one of them. I think this is a teachable moment. And I want to thank this, I don't even know how to pronounce that, JHHGGVGV, whatever, I'm not sure he is. I don't know how you'd say that. But I want to thank this individual for actually pointing this out because it is a teachable moment. If you want to see the face of the new left, this is it. Quote, "Well, I guarantee you I have no interest in debate. I'm simply here to be uncivil." Okay, I'll take you at your word and I'll refuse to debate you. And not just you, but all of your ideological colleagues. The problem is, then where do we go from there, right? How do you have a civil society when people have no interest in debate and their sole purpose is apparently to be uncivil? And I don't have an answer to that. I'm pretty sure this guy doesn't either. So, that's definitely something to think about. But like I said, it's a teachable moment. It's very rare you have one of these people actually crawl out from under a rock and actually come out and say that, hey, they're not just representing another view. They actually have no view. They're just here to cause as much trouble as they can and be as uncivil as they can. And they have no respect for anybody with a different view. And here we have an example of that. So I think this is very useful. I think this is a teachable moment. If you're curious about the face of the new left, well, this is a good place to start, right? Quote, I have no interest in debate. I'm simply here to be uncivil. Wow. I mean, if I was going to write spoof dialogue for somebody who represented this view, I'm not sure I could do a better job than this individual did. So, Mr. GVGV, thank you very much. You've kind of proved my point, and that's definitely something to think about. Lone Rider out.